Countdown.
I had to try to break the habits. I changed my mind. Now I can have it. Make me feel alive. I've got nothing to would I go chasing after? I had myself to blame. I knew and
forward. What a drive this has been from the Obsession driver. This requires brass ones. What a move. Stunning.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Sector 1, the MICROSECTOR on Sector 1, our fortnightly podcast. Gentlemen, welcome to a little bit of a new era. We're winging a few things tonight. We're doing things a little bit differently. I might quickly hand over to Sean, who you can probably see on screen at the moment, who's obviously our head commentator, and do the usual intros and the welcomes. Sean, how are you, mate?
I'm very well, Claude. How are you? Hope you're well.
Good, mate. Looking well dressed there.
Definitely in the beautiful red and black at the beautiful MCG, best stadium in the world. So yeah, we're on screen. We've got faces now. Look at us, just pretty voices. We actually got pretty faces.
We got heads for radio.
Yeah, exactly. So this is the MICROSECTOR podcast. So a slight name change. This is season 3, episode 1. So we've got a third season now. Look at us go. Wow. Tonight we're going to discuss a few different things. We're going to go through, of course, the points, current point standings. Also going to have a replay as well. So some race highlights. The weekend from the weekend, which was pretty amazing. There was some really good racing. And then we got a big discussion point in regards to sim racing. So
yeah, got a bit on.
Yeah.
Also joining tonight, Troy. How are you, mate?
Very well, thanks, Claude. How are you? Claude, how are you?
Tool shop there.
They lent me the Auto One shop for the afternoon.
Walk out with whatever you need.
Probably going to need some parts. Power play coming up. I need some extra bits for that day.
One ball thinks this is horrendous. Sorry to scare you like that, mate. Put the things to bed. So as we're saying, guys, we've just gone out and leave here and tried to sort of spice things up a little bit with the MICROSECTOR and get some video stuff happening. As Sean said before, we're going to give the video analysis of racing a go as well. We'll see how that goes. We're a bit limited still by technology, but we'll see how that goes. We've got echo going on. Okay, well, that's a good start. Let's see if we can fix that up. How about now? We still got an echo now, Buffer? Really bad echo tonight. Let's see if we can't fix this.
Who's echoing? That's the keys. So is it Claude echoing, myself?
Well, let's see now. Hopefully, has that helped with the echo there, guys? All good. Excellent. Onwards and upwards. Okay, so boys, we might move into the first sort of section that we'd sort of organised, which was to get into some sort of what were we looking at? Point standings first up, is it?
Yeah.
From round 5, where were we at? We headed off to St. Croix.
St. Croix.
St. Croix. There's actually a brand of fishing rods, boys, that's called St. Croix. That's why I pronounce it St. Croix, and I'm thinking it could be the same, but then again, who knows? It might be different, but produce some pretty good racing, some pretty interesting outcomes. None more so than your outcome there, Sean. Managed to get around pretty quickly.
Got the chicken.
Nice chicken dinner, first venture into Group A, and showed them what for. I gave them all a good whooping, including myself, which was an interesting race. And we'll have a look, as we said, some of those highlights. But as we move into sort of points, BMW points is what we're sort of looking at. Let's not start with that. Let's start with these guys here. So looking at sort of the back end of the Group B boys, as points stand. Don't know if our fellow commentators can see that yet. It'll come up shortly, but we can see Magnet, Flatstick, Faster Jet, Bishop Wacker, the Moth, who's still sitting behind the old man, the young fella there in Excalibur. But it's still close. There's only 2 points between those two. Pruski, Shizer, and Jim Bob. Jeez, is Jim Bob all the way down there?
Yeah, he's had a bit of a.
What's he
Bit of an
doing
up and
all the
down
way
season.
down there? Well, Jim Bob was meant to be with us today, but he was too ashamed of showing his head on camera, so he pulled the pin on us right at the last second. Jim Bob, how are you, mate? We've got Womble Brainache, who unfortunately
I was
believe.
about to mention that it was a bit like his appearance tonight, but you kind of beat me to it.
Bit of a non-event. And we've got Brainache there sitting in 17th or 3rd in Group B, and I think we've just recently discovered he might not, due to personal circumstances, be able to take part in the rest of the season.
I just want to actually give a shout out to Brainache as well. Keep your head up, buddy, and we're all here for you at Sector 1. So yeah, just keep on pushing. If you need anything, if you watch this later on, mate, give us a shout out.
Absolutely. So he sits at the moment behind Shanubi and Grassies, and then we've got the Group A boys as it stands. The crazy one there, hanging in the 14th, myself 13th, VF, Filthy. Oh, I've got a bit to say about Filthy. We'll go through that in the post-steward discussions later on.
We could almost have like a just a 5-minute segment called Filthy's Corner or something.
Yes, we could.
I could probably throw in a few things.
Yeah, I reckon you could contribute handsomely as well. So yeah, Filthy, Streetle Juice, the Plumber, Hollingsworth, Dadson in 7th there. Yourself, mate, sitting in 6th, Ghost. That's getting towards the pointy end and not too far, only 4 points behind Stickers. Mr. Mo Jalen himself sitting in 106 points, 4th. Jimmy Superfly, 3rd with 112. NASCAR, who put in a stunning performance on the weekend. He was pretty well. He was a bit down with the end result, but he could hold his head up high. I thought he drove very well, finishing in 3rd, and he's managed to pull himself up into 2nd place at 116. But Captain Muffin showing a clean set of heels at 139, and with the round to go, going to be tough to beat. Would have to have something
Look
pretty.
at that, I was just going to say, look at that battle for 2nd though. That's
that one's tight.
yeah,
There's
that's
potentially all the way down to Dadson, I suppose. Could potentially end up pushing all the way up there, but it's probably highly well, it's still a mathematical chance. But Captain Muffin.
There's a few spots there that are pretty close when you look at the points there. Like 2nd and 3rd are close, 3rd and 4th, 4th and 5th are close.
Yep.
7th and 8th.
There's mini battles everywhere, and I think going into this final round, Captain Muffin's strategy will be keep out of trouble as much as possible.
Well, I think also we've got to remember as well, we're going to Monza in the next round, and as we've seen many times before, anything can happen at that joint.
Oh, yeah.
You got to get through turn 1 first. So,
and it doesn't get much prettier here for my team as we look at sort of the BMW Teams Championship. The fall from grace is almost complete for 4th performance, sitting on 55 points after giving everybody a proper shellacking last season. Aussie Hampton Racing sitting in 13th. Racing Car Like Legends sitting in 12th. Counterpunch 11th. Obsession Motorsport 10th.
oh, look at that, Troy, though. Have a look at that.
What are we looking at? All the way up there. Well, let me get there. We got Cornerstone Performance in 9th, Red Mist 8th, CJ Esports in 7th, Death Grip Racing 6th, Blacklight Motorsport in 5th. Nice work from those boys. Lucky Lawn Care Racing, strong performance, 4th. Dadson Racing, very impressive. And Deeds can hold their head high. And this championship will be decided going into the final round at Monza. All still to be decided. Ragged Edge Racing holding a 6-point lead over Deeds and an 8-point lead over Dadson Racing going into that final round. So
asterisk for that as well. Lucky's Lawn Care Racing have 2 bullets in the gun this weekend. So they've got Grassies and S1 Magnet, or as I like to call him, Magenet.
Of course, so we're in between the round, aren't we? We haven't. Yes. It's not a completed round as such. So yeah, that's yet to take shape. Final shape. We'll have a clearer picture, and maybe next season we do these microsector podcasts at the end of complete rounds. I think that's what we got planned to do anyway. So
well, we did that. I think it was just the break with Christmas
that threw us out of schedule,
completely off schedule. But
that's right. Now we jump over to the 458 points, and that came up the right one.
We don't have to do them ones if you don't want to.
Oh, that's all right, mate. We'll get to you. Won't take long.
Think on the wooden spoon this year.
Hard Soft there, who I think was a late joiner to the championship, is holding them all up there, sitting in 28th spot. Darkside, Mitch, the other Tyrone, DB007, sitting down the bottom of this list here. Unfortunately, as we know, missed a few races, but looking to finish strong and be very strong again next season. Looking forward to seeing him racing with the top guys. Make everything a bit more interesting. CB sitting in 23rd. Berry 22nd. We've got Just the Atom and B8 sitting in 20th. A nice round number on 50 points, mate. Equal with Just the Atom and Scooter 82 fighting for 19th spot. Look, there's a fair bunch of you guys there. Potentially, I'll have a look at the next page in a second, but one or two of these guys may end up finishing in that top group. Black Project, who's been ultra impressive, along with Hijacker and Maverick. Those three guys could easily be in the top group. As we jump across to have a look at the A group. Sorry, guys, we'll get there. There we go. Scotty G sitting in 14th spot.
How's he done that?
Yeah, well, he's got a habit. He's got a fair set of claws on him, and he's just hanging on for dear life onto the cliff that he seems like he's meant to fall off, but he just keeps sticking around, doesn't he? Brent, mate, that's an impressive rise from Brent coming through the B group and getting into the top group, along with the kid Mountain Goat. Lucky, impressive. In 11th, might really be looking for a top 10 finish for it to be maybe the sort of season he can walk away from. Actually, I think he'd be lucky just finishing in the top group. It's such a competitive group. Just being a part of it, I think, is a massive achievement in itself. It's
one of them groups that you make a mistake, you're not making it back up unless you are the Brocky or the Knuckles or the VLX or DB007. It's just so hard.
It is.
They're too fast.
I've been thinking about it a fair bit in the last sort of 48 hours as we were preparing for what we're doing tonight, as to, what it means to be in this top group. You go in there and let's be realistic about it. The expectation of winning is not a massive one, but, you just give it your best every time and you just never know. And, some of these guys should really hold their head up. They're competing against literally some of the very best that's out there. And we see guys like Diago there sitting in 9th position, top 10 finish beckoning for him. Artie Thump, Speedy Tyres, that's impressive. Well done, mate, his first season. T-Flow, Ricky Bobby, Morgan Davey, and the top three, obviously, VLX, Knuckles. Well, that's a massive performance. And Brocky, we obviously know about. What more can we say about Brocky? Other than the fact that
most impressive for me there is Ricky Bobby. He's just ultra consistent.
Yep.
Every championship we've had, he's just always in that sort of top 5 or 6, just hangs around.
And the fact that he's done it when the standard is continuously going up and up and up and up and up and up, and he just improves in order to hold. It's not like he's just been this good. He's just got better and better and better, and it's allowed him to remain as he is here in 5th position in what's an ultra competitive competition. Now we just have to, I suppose, touch on Brocky. He's set up to take out yet another title. Might have to look at. He won't blush. He'll say but we might have to call the trophy after the fella. If he keeps doing this, might have to call it the Dean Allen or something along those lines.
Well, he's no longer the cyborg. I am officially calling him the GOAT.
The GOAT. I've again putting some thought into it. Geez, we've thrown challenges at him, haven't we? And so far he's stood up to most of them. But couple of guys really sort of pushed him this year. We've got young VLX there who's had a fantastic season, even though maybe a couple of cracks showed. I think this last round, I think we saw a couple of little errors start to creep into his racecraft, and whether that's just a bad day at the office or a bit of pressure sort of getting a little bit the better of him, who knows? But he'll only be better for it. And there's next season where, while all of us have enjoyed watching these guys get around in Ferraris. I think most of the guys driving the Ferrari are going to be pretty happy to.
Yeah, I don't know about the enjoyment part.
Oh no, it's been a joy to watch it. Those of us not driving in it have enjoyed it, and watching guys, the very best find it difficult to get that thing around a track. So guys, we might kick in after sort of. Hang on a minute, we haven't quite finished with the points yet, have we? We got ourselves the teams points. Let's do that. And a quick run through there. Death Grip Racing, Blacklight Motorsport, Aussie Hampton Racing, Red Mist Racing, Ragged Edge, Dadson Racing in 9th, Counterpunch in 8th, Obsession Motorsports 7th, CJ 5th, Deeds Racing 5th, Racing Cars Like Legends in 4th, Lucky Lawn Care, those two hard to split, only 3 points in there. This championship's wide open. So we're looking here, the top two teams are on equal points. Cornerstone Performance and Force Performance both sitting on 238. Not too sure what their B driver situation is with both of those teams, but it's with both of those teams clearly in the lead and on equal points. That's going to make for a really interesting final round once we finish at St. Croix and move on to Monza. I'm sure it's going to make for some interesting racing. We've got the combined points at the end, which is the very last one. Combined points, which is both the BMW and the Ferrari championships all together. From the top, we got Deeds Racing at 421. The consistency across all four cars is where this sort of pays off, and Lucky Lawn Care in second. But all of these positions potentially could change and probably will change. But fighting for the championship, you'd probably have to say realistically maybe the top three have got it to themselves.
I reckon. I think Deeds just have an overall fast team, so I think they got a pretty good chance. I think there's a little bit of drivers not making it for the Lucky's Lawn Care, so.
Okay.
Well, we've got to remember as well, Lucky's Lawn Care have 2 bullets in the gun for BMW this weekend, so they most likely will go to the top after this round. Now, I also believe, I'm just trying to do some maths. Ragged Edge, of course, have 2 bullets in the gun in the Ferrari race. Now, that is going to be very interesting because it is the plumber and myself in the Ferraris.
Right.
We've got a strategy. The strategy basically is to go around the circuit and not spin, and we'll see what happens.
Stay out of the way. That's it.
I've been trying that for 5 rounds so far.
So yeah, look, we're obviously going to get a much clearer picture as to where everything's going to sit by the end of Sunday. We'll have to get out an updated points table and see exactly where we sit leading into the final round. But no doubt that pretty much all the championships, bar perhaps the Ferrari A, are still alive and kicking with much to transpire and develop. So look forward to that. So we have ourselves. Yeah.
I can tell you one thing. The Ferrari's been a good learning curve. It has been a bit of a pain in the butt to drive, but it's also come good towards the end of the season, so it was probably good for a bit of a change. So heading to the BMW next season, definitely looking forward to that.
It's I think there's a few guys that are looking forward to that. Sorry guys about the interruption on the screen there as I was trying to figure out exactly what was going on. But essentially, boys, I think we can move into our race highlights sort of little package that we've had created by Ghost for us. He's gone ahead and made a little edit of the race for us, and we'll just play the video and let's just see where it all leads to. Anyway, I think it all's kicking off here with the B race initially.
I think you're leaving it a bit late there, Tony.
Yeah, making a late run. That'll have to be the ultimate Steve Bradbury.
Alrighty, so what we might do is instead of analysing off what I'm watching, we maybe analyse off what the boys are watching and what everybody else is watching on YouTube. And as we can see there, guys, we had Captain Muffin.
We're racing.
We led them off after claiming the pole position.
It's a pretty good start.
probably would have thought that he might have finished closer to the front, boys.
I think he was just sort of banking points.
Yeah.
Not really. I think he was more concerned just finishing top 4, top 5, keeping it clean and just building that championship lead up.
Playing the
Where-
safe game. Yep.
Yeah, pretty much.
Probably the right thing to do too.
Unless he's in chat, he'll be able to tell us his own story.
Oh,
Yeah, that's
true,
right.
too.
Well,
Yeah.
we'll start getting. We've got a roving reporter who's soon going to start making his way around, annoying some of these drivers for some quick little interviews. Just a heads up there, drivers, which we might use during our race. Hey, what just happened then? Okay, that's one I wanted to bring up.
I wonder with
Got pinged.
Filthy being up
I did. 3 points for this one.
another car mat issue. He's got the
Is that the bridge incident?
This is the bridge incident. So he's sitting in front of me, but he's so bloody slow. No. No. He's sitting in front of me at this stage, but I did the wrong thing. We can clearly see at this point, I think I'm far enough in front. He's left me room up the inside. I'm there. Hang on a minute. I've got to go off the YouTube channel here. I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself.
Yeah, when I watched the replay back, I looked at this one. I thought, oh, geez, that's one of those real.
Yeah,
sort
look,
of-
if it was the reverse sort of situation and it was Filthy on the inside there, and I think I got far enough up, but where I've stuffed up there is obviously haven't left him room on the exit of the corner, and just in that spur of the moment, that combination occurs there. It all happened so bloody quick that I was just thinking, get on the gas early, try to get away, and unfortunately I put the squeeze on him and noticed that he'd had a bit of a bit of an incident behind, and I thought, suffer, cop that, and just kept on driving.
It's a brave spot to put a move on.
It
though,
was, mate, but I'd done it in practice a few times, and I thought, I can't afford to spend too much time here. I had a stupid strategy. My strategy was a 2-stop, and it was to stop at the end of lap 4, actually, initially, and then to refuel. And then I was that not focused for it that I didn't put enough fuel for my second stint. And from that point on, the race was over for me. But anyway, we go on. As here, we put the squeeze on him and put him into the wall.
So take your note. Don't try a pass there in the Ferrari because it probably won't end well.
Yes.
Filthy says it's all good, Claude. I still finished ahead of you.
Yeah, he did. I had one more go at taking him out on the last lap, and on at the end of the back straight there, and speared myself into the wall and missed him by B's proverbial, and he was lucky. I nearly took him out. But anyway, moving beyond that incident there, I thought we had a pretty interesting race. Obviously, had yourself go there, setting some early pace there with NASCAR out in front. This is me and Mo going at it a bit. Those bloody blacklight cars, mate, they were all over me the whole bloody time. They also run the 2-stops, so it's probably why I saw more of them on the track than anybody else. But yeah, yourself, NASCAR, stickers, and Captain Muffin out in front. Put a gap on the field pretty early on, and you I think you managed to come in with the most amount of fuel at the end of that first stop. Is that right?
No, so out of our top 4 was the Muffin Man who had the most.
Right.
But he was a little bit behind in terms of distance, so I had 2 less than NASCAR, and when we come in, I saw the number and I was thinking, what do I do here? Because I know it sounds like 2, but it can make a difference because he was right behind me. So I short fielded a little bit and managed to get back out in front of him. But I was definitely keeping him sort of in the back of my mind, the Muffin Man and stickers as well, sort of where they were. And probably one of the most intense sort of races I've ever done. It was, you just couldn't take your eye off anything. There's one mistake, game over.
I think we're going to see a little bit more of that front end battle from here on in on these highlights. But you just saw there Mo come in with a 2-stop strategy and 42 fuel on board. Hollingsworth 28. It just goes to show how good those boys. And Filthy, he's obviously learned a bit from Mo. He's coming with the exact same amount of fuel. So those boys managed to save a truckload of fuel. So here we go. There's our first stop, and you're on 25. NASCAR only slightly better with the fuel save, and NASCAR's notoriously good saver, so you've done pretty well there. But but it seemed like you were both keen to lead. You know, nobody was really all that keen to follow and save fuel. The lead of the race was up for grabs, and you guys were fighting for it, which was great to see.
Yeah, I've always been more comfortable leading.
Right.
Yeah, it's sort of because I can just get into my little bubble and go for it. And I've learned a couple of tricks driving the BMW on how to fuel save with it. So sort of you can fuel save quite well and keep the pace up. Which is this is an interesting industry. Me and Mo, you'll see another one
Yes.
as well. Mo is
This is Mo
this
at his
guy.
best. Look at that. Look at that. It's still the one move, but it's from one end of the track to the other. He's used up the entire width.
Reminded me of Red Bull Racing 2013.
He's very good at that. And yeah, it to his credit, it makes you think twice before you try anything. I know earlier in the race there, a couple of times I thought about throwing it up the inside, but you just know he's going to close the door, and you just don't commit to it. You let you.
Mo is the hardest person to pass when you really want to.
Geez, that was. I took a big deep breath and thought, okay, got the eyes on. I thought I've got to get past this bloke now.
Yeah, well, at this point, obviously he's out of sequence. He's running the two-stop. He's out front lighter on fuel than you guys. Looking to probably stop around lap 10 because he was splitting at 5, 5 and 4. So he's really just, he's entitled to fight for his position here. So there's no complaints from that point of view, but really he's out of sequence. And as you can see, it starts to bank up behind him with the guys on fresher tyres. Crazy one. How are you, mate?
Happy birthday to the crazy one.
Happy birthday, boy. Happy birthday, mate.
Happy birthday.
And
I think Mo is such the hardest person to pass. It just ruins your race mindset because he's so hard to pass because he's just every try and make a move, he's there in the way.
Yeah, when look
Not
at
that
this.
it's a bad thing, it's part of racing, but he's just so good at it.
Without sort of trying to get ahead of ourselves, the topic we'll be talking about later on, but in the real world, that's the way it works. There are guys that are just, some guys are easy, others are willing to give up a lot easier. He's just one of those guys that will fight for every inch of road, and
I'm actually tempted to call him Seagull.
give yourself a pat on the back if you manage to get past him. And here we are sort of at a bit of a critical stage of the race. I think we may have had some contact that was later reviewed by, is this the incident? Yes, it is. So, Sean, just having a look there, it looked like you took that inside line, which then caused you to run wide there. And, whether we agree with the stewards or not, that's for another night. But deemed that the loss of control of the car, the contact with NASCAR, and I think the lack of a redress cost something, a penalty of around 3 points.
Yeah,
So,
cost me 3 points.
yeah. So these things happen, and there he goes again. NASCAR sort of getting pushed wide. We get in the heat of the moment. These things are always going to happen, and they'll continue to happen. But as long as the intentions are good, you were out of control of the car. It all got worked out in the end. I did notice during this race an unusual amount of little bits of connectivity sort of slight issues. A lot of the cars were sort of darting around on the replay that I didn't notice when we were actually racing.
Yeah, I didn't notice it either while we were racing.
But in the replay it was pretty clear. Anyway, moving on to the 458 race, and this was the big boys race. And look, I'll be honest, I didn't get to catch all of this. I watched a bit of a replay, but I might let... well, it's hard for you guys to really commentate on it because you're looking at a fairly delayed sort of bit of the video. But Mountain Goat obviously started from pole. Now, Brocky qualified in 8th. What happened there? What happened to Brocky? Just had a bad qualifying session?
Bad quality, got a penalty on his last flyer.
Okay.
Which burned his qualifying. Him and Karen, aka Mr. Brent, both got penalties on their last flyers, and they were both really quick as well. So when we saw the qualifying, we're like, oh, hang on, what's going on here? And we actually thinking, maybe this will be a turn up for the books, but as you'll see later on.
The length of the lap obviously made qualifying pretty full on. You really only had one crack at it. You had one chance to set an early lap and then one go to better that later on.
The funniest thing was seeing Brocky with a train behind him of VLX and Karen, and there's about 5 cars behind him, and he's trying to... I'm guessing, waiting to get a clear bit of space, but they're all trying to get a toe off him, so nothing was happening.
And there I'm seeing anyway, and you guys will catch up to this, but the first sort of VLX incident, which was a essentially just exit of the corner, is a little bit of oversteer, and it's just done the Ferrari thing and bucked him off, so to speak, and chucked him into the wall.
Yeah, he had a,
Probably the best way to explain it.
the best way to describe it is he had a straight up mare.
Yeah, unusual to see, and he ended up at pretty much the rear of the field, didn't he? At the end of the race, and here I'm watching them as they all duck in for that first round of pits, and really no sort of massive advantages for anybody there from a fuel point of view. They're all, although somebody come in with a bit less than everybody else. Diago burnt a bit more than everybody else.
Rocky made a few spots, I think, in the first pit stop.
Yeah, well, it's a topic I can't think if I spoke to him directly about it or not, but
some of those pit entries, though.
yes, I mean, I think if we sort of pulled out the
Well, it's a long dotted line.
it is a long way up, but yeah, some of them must have gone pretty close, I reckon. But still looking at lap 7 here, and it's all very interesting up the front as Speedy Tyres gets himself a little bit crossed up, and that's again, he's made a tiny little mistake there and lost 4 spots. He's gone from 4th to 8th, which was the nature of the race. Tight racing, small mistakes.
This was fantastic, this part. The reason I put this in the highlights is you watch Brocky here. This is just a great bit of awareness and driving. Just flies around the outside, no problem, and takes, 4 spots just like that.
Carrying that speed all the whole time. How the hell he does it? Yeah, there we go. So we move forward again. Up sort of lap 8, we had Nux starting to, what is he doing at this stage? Trying to keep up with Brocky. The next incident, we're looking at a VLX again come to a complete halt, sitting in 14th, already 30 seconds behind the main group. One he'd want to forget. Look, there's some similarities, I think, in the nature of the tracks here in Monza, those long sweeping curves, and, you've got a few sort of high-speed corners. If it's
I think you can feel the bumps more at St. Croix, whatever you want to call it. Monza's nice and smooth, and the corners are fast, but they're smooth and flat. So
yes,
I think you're a bit more control there, but especially heading into the bridge and out towards the bridge.
There's that nasty bump there, isn't there?
Nasty bump.
You never know when you're going to hit it.
That's horrible, that bump. In the M3 rode that bump actually really nicely.
Yes.
The laps I've done. This one here, look at the slide there from Morgan. Geez, that was good to watch. That was scapey on the slide. That's why I put that in, because I just thought that was a great slide.
So they come in for their final pits here in lap 18, and they all pretty much just running on fumes here, but Brocky's assumed pretty much control of the race at this stage. He's just on that next level, isn't he? At some point, you just think somebody's going to take it to him, but he just keeps producing.
It's not his outright speed that's the killer.
No, that's right. Yep, and I think he works pretty hard on strategy too. He always seems to make time through pits, and somehow just always manages to eke that extra second here and extra second there, and that's the attention to detail. He could take it a lot easier, but he doesn't.
He's like a metronome. He just bangs out lap after lap.
Well, I think he knows too that if he does sort of lacks 5%, somebody's going to pop up and knock him off. So he can't afford to, which keeps him on his toes.
Brocky keeps jumping into practice session rooms.
Oh, yeah.
Drops the fastest lap in
And
2
leaves,
laps and then
demoralises, and then walks away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes you reassess your own sim racing goals, doesn't it? Nice battle here between Speedy and Morgan. They actually went at it pretty much the whole race. Morgan, of course, was on the alternate strategy. So the hot strategy was the 6, 12, 18. But Morgan went slightly different there, so he come home with a really strong car.
I think Morgan's definitely got the speed, but he might lack a little bit of the consistency. At the start of the season, he was super quick, but just seems like he's maybe buttoned off a little bit.
Yeah.
That's something
I think
he'll improve on.
I think most of the guys are sort of just treading water till next season now. Just want to get through it and jump in the big M6, Big Bertha, and have a crack at that thing.
Well, the thing now is been driving, and I guess Knuckles and Lucky will be the worst. Been driving the Ferrari for 2 seasons, and you try to jump in a normal car, and it's hard to drive.
Yeah.
Might feel like a bit of a dead car for him initially.
The Ferrari steers really well.
Yep.
It's probably its biggest problem is it steers too good for the back end. The back end doesn't help.
Well, guys, that's our first attempt at a bit of a race review. Hope you enjoyed that. We'll keep working away at that and figuring out ways maybe for the boys to be able to see it at the same time as I was seeing it. And that'll make it a lot easier for us to be able to sort of review it going forwards. Guys, we might quickly, unless one of you two boys has something you want to have a go at or have a chat about, otherwise we can move on to the hot topic for the day. But
I just think also, guys, if we can get some more entries into the next level racing competition, I know it is going to close up pretty soon. So there's been some great videos come in. So we just want to see, get some more entries. I'd love to see 50 entries, really, to tell you the truth.
yeah.
As many as possible. Remember, this is a great prize. It is a GT light rig from Next Level Racing. If you are looking for all your sim racing needs, the link will be up in the chat box right now. So get the videos. It doesn't have to be anything special. Don't literally just your phone and get a bit creative with it and show us your personality. And as of course, we aren't voting for this. So
Standards been set pretty high. There's a couple of videos I saw there had me having a bit of a giggle.
I've gone through about 10 different scenarios of what I want to make a video of, and it's just get a little bit better each time. And
Just
I'm thinking,
get it out there,
Jim's the hardest one to beat so far.
Yes, saw that one. That was a cracker.
It's not that Group B misses out, Womble. It's just the Group B race at Interlagos was before Christmas.
Yeah, yep.
So I won that race, by the way. Just there you go. Reviewed it, done. I won. Simple.
Yeah. So once we managed to get the whole sort of timing of the microsector landing at the end of rounds again, to make it a bit easier. But that one was just a bit far out for us to be able to go back and recount. But rest assured, we will cover Group B when possible. We have a hot topic of discussion, and the idea is obviously, guys, in chat. How many have we got in there at the moment? 21 viewers, guys. If you have an opinion on what we've brought up, we will be sort of broadening topics a little bit from here on. I think we have really kept most of our topics sort of surrounding and working around what sim racing is all about, and this week is the same. But yeah, I think we're going to get a little bit more creative and move into other areas without getting too controversial, too political or anything like that. But this week we've got ourselves a hot topic, and it's pretty straightforward. The question being, should sim racing stop looking to real world racing for validation? Troy looked at me cross-eyed when I brought this up before, and I thought I'll explain to him what what it means. And essentially, we saw during the lockdown with COVID and all that, there was a big push from the real world racing to try to associate itself into sim racing. And we saw, the V8 and the Formula One and all of them try to sort of take advantage of what sim racing's got to offer out there. So the value of what sim racing is to real world racing is clear to see, but it doesn't necessarily work the other way around. And I was just thinking a little bit about how little is done to help sim racing as a standalone hobby or sport or whatever you want to call it advance. A guy like as talented as our main man Brocky should be in a position where he gets to travel overseas and compete overseas, not for a handshake and a pat on the back, but for some real world stuff, some dollars. There's enough money in this thing for this to become a not a professional sport, but a semi-professional sport. That being the incentive for all guys to it's a massive community. There's so many people doing it now. you can just see there these sim companies, how they're, BMW producing a wheel that fits in the original or the actual race car that you can pull out and shove it into a Fanatec. It's the writing's on the wall. But it seems that very little's being done for the participants. I'm sure GT Sport does well out of their World Series, but they don't give much back. And they'd be willing to pour a fortune into putting Hamilton's face on the front cover of their game. It just doesn't make much sense to me. I think there's an opportunity for focus to shift away from the real world racing or aligning yourself with that and really promoting the good, an Igor Fraga, a world champion, TRL Lightning, these guys that have proven themselves to be, the best in the world, and be encouraged to compete and be encouraged to do so by obviously throwing some dollars around. Take the hat off. Womble, he's a nasty piece of work, old Womble. So, not sure what people's thoughts are on that, or whether we need the validation of real-world racing there, whether we need to see real-world drivers participating in sim driving in order for it to, as we were saying.
It's a lot easier for a real-world driver to jump into a sim than it is for a sim driver to jump into someone's $500,000 race car.
Yep.
So, but there's still validation there. I mean, all the drivers, they jump into a sim rig when they can't drive, just like COVID proved.
Yep. And I think the one thing that period proved too is that the best sim drivers, obviously, are much faster than the real world drivers on a sim, which you'd expect, So it's not like these guys are jumping into sim and destroying. Oh, well, Lando, I know, competes a lot in F1 and he's pretty bloody quick, but, we've seen a guy, in the, what was it? In the Supercars series, a lot of the sim drivers were the standout drivers, which was an example of, they're two separate things. They're not one and the same, just giving leagues the ability to use stream settings.
I think a couple of things. Probably the biggest support or manufacturer supporter of sim racing is actually Porsche.
Mm-hmm.
So Porsche have an official sim racing series. They've got a couple. They've got the PCOS, which Matty Campbell competed in last weekend and won. And he competes in that with people like Jimmy Broadbent, Will Ford, Jardiere. So all the sort of big time sim racers. So that's really great to see that. And a big manufacturer like Porsche, that's why they are the greatest manufacturer in the world, supports sim racing and that. And I know that they're kind of looking at sim racing as a pathway for people that aren't as financially well off as some of these other drivers that have, can go-karting every weekend and things like that. I think sim racing, especially with the way sims are these days, you look at sims like iRacing, Assetto Corsa Competizione, R Factor 2, not so much Race Room, but those three are your big three in terms of PC sim racing. The problem is a lot of sort of people in our sort of social economic demographic as well are console users. So it's bridging that gap for console users to PC, and that's, I think, the hardest part as well. And I think in terms of validation, I think there's a couple of things that there's a stigma still around sim racing, and I think that's the problem. A lot of people seem to think it's still just, at the end of the day, playing a video game.
Yeah.
In essence, it is.
Yep.
But in essence, it's not as well. I mean,
but
I do.
The argument being, the counter argument being to that, yeah, okay, but gaming now, Minecraft, COD, it's professional. There are guys that are
100%.
dedicating every single moment of their day to playing those games and making a living from those games. So the gaming thing moving into sort of that monetized sort of side of things has already happened. But I know what you mean. I get the point that you bring up, and also with that sort of the comparison of the PC to the console. Well, for the first time, we're on the cusp of that gap closing substantially with the PS5, and we all sort of wait. Every day goes by, we're closer to finding out exactly what's coming our way, as we've spoken in the past.
The closest one so far is ACC on the console. So
yep,
that's a proper sim. make no mistake about it. That's not a simcade or,
Yep.
that is a proper sim. Like I race and do some racing for another league, my spare time, and tell you what, these guys over in Europe, they're some seriously quick operators, especially the Germans.
Right
The
on.
Germans are very quick.
Yep.
Good doctor brings up a good point as well. It's just a kid's game. Every supercars post ever. 100% correct there, good doc. I think that's the other problem as well. I think it might be an age thing as well, maybe a generation thing. I mean, a lot of these old school motorsport fans think, oh, no, you got to go real racing. That's where it's at. Little do they realise that fossil fuels and having a petrol-powered car is going to be banned in Europe from 2030, but that's okay. So we've got to get with new technologies. We've got to come up with new ways to still get our motorsport fix, but still be relevant. I think that's the key word, relevance.
Yep. And we can see just within our little community, how keen young fellas are to participate in what sim racing is, and how ridiculously fast some of them are. But I thought
I think we see from Mountain Goat is probably a prime example. He's real young, but he's also got a good attitude towards the racing, and I can't think of the word at the moment, but
an understanding of what it is and the intricacies of it, and he's just not plonking himself behind a wheel and trying to go as fast as possible. He's got an understanding of what, I suppose, real world racing, or what we're trying to emulate within sim. But it's a
I think he might even race himself, does he, in the real world?
I think he's a go-karter. Pretty sure he's a go-karter.
Not too sure, but Prusky obviously there makes that point a little bit earlier too, how he uses sim to help him learn tracks that he might be racing in the real world as well. So yeah, there's obviously going to be a crossover there. The bit that sort of stuck in my head a bit was the fact that I think they're underutilizing some of these real standout competitors, and seem to use them for their own benefit rather than the benefit of the drivers themselves. If it was any other game and they were broadcasting it on national television, you would think there would be some financial incentive there for those participating in something like that, rather again than just a pat on the back and a thank you very much. But anyway, we move on. As I said, we'll be broadening our topics a little bit beyond just the sim racing world. It gets a little bit hard to come up with sim racing topics over and over and over again. So if anybody has suggestions as to a topic of discussion they might like to bring up, and I know, Sean, you had a couple you were throwing around. Did you want to reveal now, or do you want to keep them quiet?
Yeah, well, sort of a couple of serious ones. So my serious one I think we'll do in the next couple of weeks is with sort of COVID in the last year, and how is that going to affect international sport in the future? I mean, we've seen with the cricket series between India and Australia still going, that the Indians have to basically stay in a hotel.
Yeah.
And of course that's going to affect their mental preparation, their physical preparation. And I'm just sort of thinking, coming into 2021, 2022, of course, is a World Cup year for football. How COVID is going to affect that moving forward. A couple of funny ones as well. Does chocolate belong in the fridge? So we're going to have sort of a great debate kind of thing as well. Or window or aisle seat on an airplane. Again, another big topic of conversation. But yeah, little things like that as well. So it doesn't have to be fully serious. Oh, wobble. Wow.
Yeah, F1 postponed again. That's another
November.
one. Yeah, November.
Oh, actually, we can cover a couple of things off because there's a couple of big motorsport announcements during the week. So, of course, F1 has been moved to November, which is, I think, a very smart decision. Well done, Formula One. But the Australian Tennis Open's going ahead, and there's a bloke flying over from America, tennis player, who tested positive for COVID on Monday. Yeah,
Oh,
GG. Well done.
awesome.
So that's a big one. Also, Grove Racing have teamed up with Kelly Racing, which I think is fantastic. Grove do not muck around when they go racing. So Scotty McLaughlin actually drove a Porsche for him in the 12-hour. And the other big thing that I saw during, of course, with the Grand Prix being moved to November, supercars are going to run at Sandown. Now, here's their grand thinking. The weekend that they're going to run at Sandown is round 1 of the AFL season.
Oh.
GG, guys. Well
God.
done.
Much forethought went into that one.
Yeah, because I can tell you right now, everyone's going to want to go to the footy. I'm planning on going to 3 games. I've missed it that much.
Well, for a lot of people, just seeing there, and I think I saw a few other guys mention in Discord, obviously that how having the F1 in November gives people an opportunity to come into Melbourne at a different time of year, which is and usually a pretty good time of year too here in Melbourne. The weather's sort of almost at its best by then. It's not too hot. Where usually, that sort of March date, it's right in the middle of summer. You get some absolute scorching sort of days. So, and beyond that, I don't know how far into the championship are we. Is it sort of like a halfway sort of thing, or are we getting down towards almost the crunch end of the F1 season by November?
Well, that'll be the back end. That'll be the back end November. So
yep. So it adds that extra element to it too. Where the championship will be well on its way to being decided, which we don't usually get being first up. So.
Nissan won the 12-hour in 2015, not 13. Muffin Man. That was with Chio-san. Just so me. Bit of a nerd when it comes to that stuff. Week after the Melbourne Cup, that's right, Jimmy. 100%. So that'll be a big week. Big week, that one. Looking forward to that. It's going to be a lot of fun. Now, Kazi wanted to ask a question as well. So if he can type his question, we'll endeavour to answer that as well.
Kazi's always got the questions. I think he was on a few of the microsectors popping them out.
Questions are good. I love questions.
He's gone.
He's gone. He's all buggy. You're not going to answer my question. You get started. So we can just talk about some random stuff. Well, we've still got at least another 10, 15 minutes, so we can talk about random stuff as well. Of course, coming up on Sunday is Group B. So that's going to be an interesting one. So the SanMan will be hosting that one. With the
yep, that's right. Group B. I'm just going to bring up and see who's involved in Group B. We might as well have just a quick look.
Oh, here it is.
You won't see me there.
Who has been 5 drivers that have been a surprise packet this season from the crazy one? Ooh.
Surprise packets. I'm going to go with Jim Bob. Has surprised me where I found him today, sitting in that mid pack of B. I'm surprised he's down there. I expected Jim Bob to be much higher, and he probably thought so himself. Who else? But if we look at sort of more the top end,
I think.
I think BMW for the most part, it's probably gone to script.
I think B has.
Yep.
Prusky maybe a little bit higher up the ladder in.
As much as it pains me to say, I was thinking about this when I was thinking about how I was going to can Filthy. He's improved so much. I remember when Filthy first started racing with us.
I'm going to actually put him as one of my surprises.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember when he first started racing with us, Filthy was that guy that was hitting the walls and, had real tough time of it. Always probably, off the pace of the main pack, And slowly and surely he's just improved and improved and improved, and now I can't keep him behind me. That's not saying much, but the improvement is out of sight. With you, Sean, there, I reckon he's one of the ones that's definitely stood out of that BMW championship. 458.
I think probably the top 10 in the BMWs almost could run the pace of the GT guys anyway. So
you're probably right.
Any order in there, it would work out for a spot into the GT league.
Automatically, I think how good would it be if we had bloody 28 car grids in the next version?
Oh, that would be
everything
amazing.
So much better.
You could have full race weekends.
So looking at the B there in the Ferrari, sorry.
I'm going to say probably a couple of surprises. Berry, I feel, struggled a little bit.
Yep.
A little bit.
I mean,
also,
it's hard to, I'm not 100% sure if these guys have raced every race either. Some of them may have missed.
Have missed a race in that.
Yeah.
But just based on what I've seen and things as well, I feel Maverick's done pretty well.
Yeah.
Considering
Races
we do
I've
know
seen.
Maverick's one of those guys. He's pretty fast, but he's pretty loose. So he's definitely really sort of calmed himself down just a little bit. Which is great to see. Prusky's top 5 is Flatstick, Mo, NASCAR, DJ Brain, and Kazi. Nice one there.
Jimmy reckons he missed the first round and then I should ease up. Still disappointed, Jimmy.
I'm not angry. I'm just disappointed.
Yeah, and look, there's obviously a couple of guys there that through not being able to compete in all rounds, and there's one V8 X W Falcon there who's probably said enough for himself.
Oh, he's up, Rumble. Worst decision ever made. Relax, jeez. This guy. God.
Which one was that one?
Keeping Ghost in Group B was the worst decision S1 ever made. It was to allow these two boys to get themselves up and ready to stream. So it was for the greater good.
It was.
Yeah.
Let's have a
10-point penalty for Womble for just being one.
Group A, look.
I think Depot. Look at that. I mean, what a rise this guy's had.
Yep.
BMW last season, wins the championship.
Definitely.
Starts off in B, moves himself to A, and now he's top 5 in.
A few of those guys sitting in that mid pack there of A. Artie Thump, Diago. Those boys who have worked as you say.
Diago don't count because he gets an extra 5/10 from the fan club. Come on.
Right.
That's not fair.
That mid pack there, it's such a competitive.
I'd agree with that
there.
too, Filthy. Knuckles has been very good this season.
Yeah.
I'm a big Knuckles fan, so always have been. Love the way he goes about his racing.
Probably Brent too. He's come from BMW and made his way up into the Group A.
Yes, definitely. Anybody who's in that Group A obviously has had a good season. Some, it's just that we expect some to be there, and others, probably not expect them to be as high up as they are. And I think that's where you sort of that mid pack there.
Well, I knew from the beginning of the season that I didn't expect to be anywhere near the top.
To be able to hang on there. Look, mate, if we had a 1 lap challenge, a TT, I reckon you'd be
a TT
right up the pointy end.
In some sort of 80. In some sort of 86 cars around Suzuka.
Yeah.
I've heard that was quite popular back in the day.
Look, I might be not remembering rightly, but I think there was some things being thrown around about a potential. Maybe don't want to say too much, but a bit of a TT event maybe arising at some point in the not too distant future. The 1 lap challenge. I remember when we did our last one, which was the Monza one, I think it was, wasn't it, in the WRX?
Yeah, but there was some shenanigans going on.
What's that? Yeah, some guys getting dragged around by cars in front. But I quite enjoyed that week of trying to set the fastest lap possible. Pretty intense stuff.
Kazi one says 5 Womble stickers, Prusky, Brent, and Goat. Special mention goes to Troy for his room entry message.
It's Nudie Magazine Day.
Nice.
Adam Prusky reckons the good doc making a comeback next season. Not too sure what the good doc's got planned. Whether he's back for the. I'm not sure.
Ben's deleting messages.
Message retracted.
Ooh, didn't mind the Monza TT.
That was a Subaru one.
Yeah, I enjoyed that.
Oh, the car was great. Like the car was really enjoyable to drive around there.
Yeah.
But Monza's not really a great track for a TT.
No.
Took a lot of laps. They Subaru around there just to you could shift gears. You could take different lines just to get that little bit quicker, and I got myself into Group A, so that was good.
Yeah,
it was like a point. just slightly miss a braking marker. There goes 0.2 of your lap, and you're like, oh, you got to go around again.
And we had some shenanigans in that as well with some slipstreaming
Yeah.
going on.
That's right.
People driving through the turn one chicane to make sure they got a slipstream. Yeah, it was all sorts of drama. Of course, the 86 TT is the most famous one. That was straight up torture. That thing. Oh, what a brutal TT that was.
It was a fair learning
Yeses, you get it wrong,
experience,
and you got to
actually.
go all the way around again.
Mm.
What's this? Corvette TT. Ah, yeah, True Prusky, the Corvette TT. Yes, that was good. That was sort of a sprint race sort of thing. That was actually a lot of fun. I definitely enjoyed that. Except that race at Yamagao, which will never be discussed ever again in the dawn of time.
What am I missing? Yamagawa.
Yeah, take Corvette qualifying series. I was all set for the main game.
Ah,
That stupid track.
yes.
Sitting in the arse. I've never had a good result of that place. Seriously.
No, that TT at Suzuki. Yeah, that one was bloody a fair learning curve. That one.
Kazuan, we should do a round of Bathurst and the community cars. Ooh.
Oh, I'd participate in something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. I like that little car.
Good doctor, the Corvette one sucked. I found myself in the main game. Total bullshit. I did have a
Shiza.
shocker, but I did have a silver lining. I got my second championship, so
Shiza back next round. He gets to go round next round in the B.
yeah.
Yep.
So we are coming up towards sort of, but just before we do go, we'll probably stick around for a little bit longer. Heard any rumours for next season, guys? Any
Rumours?
Yeah, any driver movements, team movements, anything on the old grapevine?
What teams are staying and going?
Well, we do know that NASCAR will have his own team next season,
Yes.
which is pretty exciting.
Exciting, sad at the same time. Sad to see him go, but he's got CP's full support to kickstart CP 3.0, and I'm looking forward to no affiliation to CP. Zero.
Slide that one in there, didn't you?
Zero affiliation to CP. He's gone out on his own, and he's I tried to get the name of his team out of him during the week, and he wouldn't even tell me that. So he's going to leave us all waiting and hanging to see what he reveals, who his drivers are. I'm a little Pete. You wouldn't dare. I'm a little bit worried. You know, he's got the ability to communicate with CP drivers, so I'm just hoping I'm not surprised in a couple of weeks' time and find out that I maybe lost a driver or two. But we'll see. It'd be interesting to see how he goes.
The other thing with Force Performance shutting the door, that's 4 drivers on the open market.
On the open market, correct. Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right. And I'm sure guys have started to communicate behind the scenes already.
We also seeing Hijackers departing as well.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, which
He's already finished up for the season, so that's
Uh-huh.
why Sean and Bumcrack are taking on the Ferrari this weekend.
Gotcha. Right on. We'll see
Which is,
that as well.
See Hijacker go. Actually,
Yeah,
so,
he's been around for a long time.
yes.
Another one of those guys that improved massively over his stint at Sector 1.
We seen it was I think it was Spa was his last race at before he come to RER, and he was in the Mercedes, and he just flew. He took
That's right. He just cleaned the field up, didn't he?
Yeah, in the rain and qualifying, he beat everyone by a mile, and then
That's right.
cleaned up the race as well. And from there, he pretty much just was consistent top 5s.
From there is when we had to start double checking bop settings. No,
Yeah.
I kid. No, he smashed the field that day. I do remember that.
Yeah.
And I think it was our first race at Autopolis with probably should have been further apart from each other because I think I even hindered him a little bit in that race.
Well, you guys made a habit of that for a little while there, finding each other out on track and making things difficult for yourselves. Counter-Strike Motorsport.
And I could tell you one thing, he makes a pretty good reveal video.
Yeah,
he
yeah.
does.
Well, that'll be sadly missed. You might want to see if you can't retain those services at least.
Well, we got Sean to rely on now.
Oh, well, there you go. Big shoes to fill. Yeah, he did make a good vid.
He did. I'll
For
get some
season
tips off him.
reveals, which we'll all have to start getting to work on soon enough. What have we got? So do it. I'm flying out early.
And Prusky's coming up to Brisbane to Victoria this weekend.
He is. He's coming to the box or our boxo on Sunday. So he's going to jump in my rig to do his BMW. Actually, you might cover that off now. My guys are in here, so I think that's a good idea. So you will see my user ID in the M3 race on Sunday. Don't stress, guys. It's Prusky. I'll put a video up halfway through the race as well, so you know there's no shenanigans going on. So he'll be using my rig and wheel, and then he'll literally leap out. I'll jump into the Ferrari race, shit myself for 50 minutes, and then we'll jump out and have some Coronas. That's the plan.
So
don't,
Prusky, don't you dare do a 208 because then we'll all start wondering. Everything's got to be 209 plus.
Well, he's actually interested because he's not a fan of the Fanatec, so he's going to try mine with my settings.
Yep.
And if he's quicker with my settings, then we know it's my skill in setting up, and he's just terrible at it, or maybe the Fanatec just doesn't suit him.
Yeah, well, it always all those little things make have the ability to throw you off a little bit. That's for sure. So he'll have to get used to that. Gentlemen, don't know about you, but I think we've pretty much extended this out as far as we probably logically should.
We have.
I think all things considered, our first venture into videofying the microsector has been a success. We look forward to hearing if Richie doesn't finish last. We'll know it's you, Sean. Always looking for feedback, guys. Yeah, so if you've got any ideas of how we can sort of improve or things we can do for this microsector, keep it all interesting, fresh, and interesting and worthwhile watching, please throw your ideas up. We'll take everything on board. We just thought at the end of the last season or last year that we could make things a little bit more interactive by popping some heads up, and this is what we've ended up with. So, but we look forward to...
Classic Shansky, late to the party.
What?
Just about to finish.
Just about to close it all up. Yes, big shout out. Thanks for that reminder there, Jimmy. Shout out to Benny for all the graphics in tonight's. Not all, but a big chunk of the templates. Sean, of course, who created the video and the points tables for us. A bit of work goes on in the background to get this all.
Also goes to Claude for
shucks.
all the video, like getting all these videos up and all the sort of the cams and everything like that. We've got 3 different setups, but so Prusky have a shavy yobbos. Topless next time. Ooh, okay.
I enjoy doing this stuff, so there's no drama at all. So yeah, with that, maybe boys, unless anybody's got anything else to say, I think I'm pretty much cooked.
I'm hungry.
Yep, let's do it. So
I'm thirsty. Be sure to join us on Sunday.
Go for it, Sean. You can do the outro for us, mate.
Yep. So Sunday night, Group B, round 5, the penultimate round before we head to Monza. Live from 7 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time. It will be the SanMan and the Good Doctor and NASCAR, I believe, in the box, bringing you all the action live and free. I might see how I go, and we might do a bit of a point of view stream from my end as well on my YouTube channel for a bit of laugh in the Ferrari if you want to see how not to drive it. Something a bit different, but on that, make sure you get your Next Level Racing videos in for the competition. If you are in our Discord, if you're not in our Discord, there's the link going up now. Be sure to join our Discord, have a read over everything. Also, the video is pinned on our Facebook page as well. So have a watch that. Get your videos in. Get into the competition. It's
Have a
great
crack, boys.
prize.
Have
Have
a
a
crack.
dip. This is really big for Sector 1 as well. If we can get heaps of entries and show we can do this, I've got a feeling it's onwards and upwards. So get involved and get excited. But other than that, hit the
Done.
thumbs up, hit the like button, subscribe, and send Prusky nudes.
Sounds good. We'll catch up with you boys and catch up with everybody in on Sunday, but after that, MicroSector fortnight's time. Thanks for joining us, Troy. Thanks for everything again, Sean.
Beautiful. Thank
Cheers.
you.
Cheers, everybody.